The video shows her there's a pupil, there's someone, I don't know, on board the horse. Their face is digitized, is out, you can't see it. And the horse is being led round in one of those sort of training barn or areas where you sort of train a horse. And it is being continually whipped with a long whip, continually whipped, I would say, mostly on its back legs. But have you seen the video of the horse? I mean, how are you going to get a horse to dance the Great Escape? By the way, I'm not condoning it, but when you see them in the field, they're not dancing. So it's a weird one, isn't it? Anna Haines is an equine behaviour consultant and equine behaviourist at the Mare and Foal Sanctuary in Devon and joins me now. You must have you're an expert. When you look at some dressage and other events, what do you see? How concerned are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I think obviously horses are used in lots of different sports spheres, and in any of those sports, I think what is really important is that we have the highest welfare standards that we possibly can for them. We have to remember that horses are naturally flight animals, so they have a very strong flight instinct, and they're also designed to be eating for long periods and be out with friends, forage and freedom, as we like to say. To ensure that they're getting those high welfare standards, we need to be looking not just at their training, but also the rest of their management overall as well.
When you see a horse dancing to the Great Escape, do you think it is enjoying it?
I think it's very difficult to comment on specific situations, but I think it does take a huge amount of training to get a horse to perform to that level. And there's different ways that we can train horses.
If I came to you, Anna, you're an expert, and I said, right, I'm determined to learn dressage, and I'd like you to help me, please, teach my horse to dance along to Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. You're going to say I can do it by carrot rather than stick?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I will say. I mean, to be honest, me personally, it's not something that I'm going to be doing, is training a horse to an Olympic dressage standard. Right. However, it is absolutely possible to do that with carrot rather than stick. So, for example, at the Mare and Foal Sanctuary, the way that we approach training all of our horses focuses primarily on using positive reinforcement as much as we can. Okay. Yeah. And we never use whips as part of our training. So the aim of our training is for our horses to enjoy taking part in it, and they get rewarded for offering behaviours, and then because they get a reward for it, they're keen to offer that behaviour again in the future. So rather than using something aversive or unpleasant to sort of make them do a behaviour that we want to do to avoid that pain or discomfort, we actually wait for them to offer behaviours or sort of do things to help them offer certain behaviours. So you can sometimes use like a target in front of them that might encourage them to move towards it. Okay. And then you can give them a marker. We quite often use a clicker, but you don't have to use a clicker, much like people do in dog training. Yeah. And then they receive a reward. So that might be a carrot, although those are usually a little bit too high value and cause a bit too much excitement. So probably something like
okay, that's interesting.
So something like a forage nut or even hay as a food reward, or some horses, even if they really like scratches, will respond really well to using scratches as a reward as well. And because they like that reward, they want to offer the behaviour again. And what you then find is that you have horses that are really enjoying the training and having fun, and you're really developing that positive relationship with them.
Finally, noting that these animals are primed almost like athletes and they're in the peak of the condition, how would a well-groomed horse show distress? That is not to say the troubling adverts you see on television where a horse or a mule that's not looked after is dragging 5 tons of coal behind it. This is how does a horse behave in a certain way when it's distressed, even if it's in peak condition?
Yeah, absolutely. So we would be looking for lots of little signs, and horses are amazing communicators that use really subtle communication with one another. As a flight animal, that's really important that they have really good subtle silent communication. So you will be looking for lots of tension through the face. So when you look at a horse's face, ideally their eye should be sort of a nice roundish shape round the edges.
Right.
You can start to see tension when the top of the eyelid starts to go triangulated, and you can see a lot of wrinkles above the eyelid.
Right.
You also can see lots of tension carried through all their facial muscles, but also through their muzzle area. So you will often get very tight muzzle area with lots of wrinkling there, and the nostrils drawn up as well.
Fascinating. Anna, thanks for your time. Anna Haines is at the Mare and Foal Sanctuary in Devon. She's an equine behavioural consultant and equine behaviourist. Really enjoyed our conversation. Anna, thank you for your time. Let's now bring into the conversation Reuben Skeats, who's a spokesperson for the animal rights group PETA. So we know that this woman, who has admitted that she's deeply ashamed of her actions and an error of judgment, so she seems to accept that, well, she has to accept there's video of it. She's got a number of gold medals. She's got gold medals to her name. She's got a CBE. Do we need to review some of those? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Firstly, thank you for having me on. Well, this incident is just absolutely horrendous, completely unacceptable. But what makes it even worse is that this isn't actually an isolated event. There appears to be a pattern of abuse throughout this so-called sport. In dressage, horses are forced to do, as you said, kind of like awkward, unnatural, difficult actions. And because they're not willing participants like other athletes might be, many of the riders and trainers force them to behave in ways that are unnatural. We find they care little for the physical and psychological welfare of the animals they're using. And that's why we see abuse like this time after time after time. And that's why,
well, of course, we've just spoken with Anna. I mean, apparently you can. I mean, some of the horses might like it. You don't know. They might love the fact that everyone's applauding them. But in this particular instance, we do have someone who's admitted this, and one wonders what sort of action should be taken against her, Reuben.
Well, yeah, as you say, reportedly Dujardin was trying to force the horse to do a very slow-motion trot called a piaffe and resorted to excessively using the whip. But as I said, this isn't actually, a unique occurrence. So it's not just a kind of one-person issue. This is an issue across the whole so-called sport of equestrian. So the German pentathlon competitor in the last Olympics, Annika Schloy, was caught on camera whipping and trying to force a terrified horse Saint Boy onto the course during the Tokyo Olympics. Her coach was also caught hitting Saint Boy and was expelled from the games. Jet Set, a horse ridden by a Swiss competitor, was injured so badly he had to be euthanized. And an Irish competitor forced a horse named Kilkenny to finish the horse even though he had blood pouring from his nostrils. So this isn't kind of a one-person issue, it's an issue across the sport, and that's why PETA are calling for the Olympics to modernise and ban all equestrian events from the...
Reuben Skeats, thank you. You're with PETA. You want all horse events banned. See what people make of that. And also the fact that these gold medals, is it fair? Is it certainly fair to suggest that one might have been won, if not more than one, by these sort of tactics? Or why is the video that's 4 years old been suddenly surfaced just days before the Olympics to begin? I wonder what might lay behind that, what action needs to be taken.